Hey everyone, Grayson the Bard here, and welcome back for day 69, nice, of the hunt a day. And before we get into the hunt, I want to talk about a couple things. First things first, I am back in my room. I finished all the painting and moving, and I actually got a new monitor for my computer so that I can give my laptop a little bit of a rest. And because of that, the footage that you saw yesterday and today is going to look a little bit different. The unintended side effect of bigger monitor is that the UI for Frontier is a lot smaller, so you get to see more of the hunt, which is good. That was unintentional, but a nice side effect. And then the main thing, the monster we are hunting today, I love everything about it on paper. I think it is a really cool design and a really interesting fight with a lot of unique mechanics. On paper. In practice, this thing frustrates the absolute hell out of me. Today we are fighting another origin species monster. We are fighting Yamakurai, which is the origin species of a elder dragon who we have not seen since Monster Hunter Frontier, Yamasukami. Now, to start off with the things that I like about Yamakurai, I think he just is visually fine. He looks really neat. He is just Yamasukami, but a little bit more like high contrast between his skin and his foliage. He's got a lot more tree and plant growth coming off of him, whereas Yamasukami is a lot more flat. There's a lot more like branches and jutting out angles coming off of Yamakurai. And he's also got really gross, nasty, like rotten yellow teeth, which is it's a thing. It's fine. And I really appreciate what they tried to do with his fight. For anyone who has not fought Yamasukami before, it is an incredibly boring encounter. And I can't even call it a fight, because essentially what you do is you are on the tower map. You chase it up the tower as it slowly floats up, occasionally giving you an opportunity to whack a tentacle along the way. But that's it. And then eventually it gets up to the top of the tower where you can actually fight it proper, and it is still constantly floating directly above you. You can't really hit it that easily, and it is just a real boring nothing of a fight. And Yamakurai kind of fixes that. They gave it, instead of having it on the tower map, and they got rid of the chase mechanic where you just kind of like watch it float slowly up the tower. Instead, they give it actual fights and actual like ways to interact with the hunter. It starts off by like launching itself across the map while simultaneously putting sleep gas all around the arena to potentially catch the hunters off guard. It has a lot more moves that actually engage with the hunter, and that is really neat. In addition to some other mechanics to try and make up for the fact that it's constantly floating and above you at all times. And that was sorely needed. I think if they bring Yamasukami or Yamakurai back, they need to base the fight off of Yamakurai more so than Yamasukami. Otherwise, like, in modern Monster Hunter, it's just going to be, like, it'll go down in history as the most boring, unnecessary fight in the world. It'll topple Zora Magdaros in that regard. The problem comes from the fact that, at least playing solo, the fight is still incredibly annoying to actually get hits in and do damage to Yamakurai. It is still constantly floating above you. The bulk of its body is a lot of the time untouchable. And the hanging tendrils that you can hit, where you're expected to get in like your incidental chips of damage, move so much that a slower hitting weapon or something that's not as mobile, like the greatsword that I'm using in this hunt, really struggles to keep up and struggles to actually get good hits in. It is incredibly frustrating. Now, something that they do that's really cool, and it's something that I really like with a lot of Frontier exclusive fights, at least right now, is how mechanically interesting they can be and how they wear that MMO inspiration on its sleeve. To kind of counter the fact that Yamakurai does not give you a lot of opportunities to attack it, it has mechanics baked into the fight that let you create opportunities or capitalize on the things that Yamakurai is already doing. The first and most apparent one being the thunderbugs. At certain intervals throughout the fight, it will spew out a breath attack of thunderbugs onto the arena, who will sit on the field for a little while before eventually popping with a burst of thunder damage. If you hit these thunderbugs before they pop, they will shoot back at Yamakurai, deal a little bit of damage to it, and once you hit enough of the thunderbugs back, he will plummet to the ground, giving you an opportunity to get in, deal some hits with your weapon, and do actual big hunter damage. And again, this is an awesome mechanic. On paper. In practice, it is very hard to get all of the thunderbugs that shoot out, requiring you to wait multiple cycles of the thunderbugs coming out in order to actually get the topple. This may be a problem that I have because I am playing through solo, in air quotes, with the NPC hunters, because the NPC hunters don't seem to be coded with game mechanics in mind. They just seem to go full tilt, full unga bunga at the monster at all times. And because of that, none of them were going after the bugs, trying to knock them into Yamakurai. I imagine with a full party of 4 actual player hunters, we would see those topples happen a lot faster if everyone is hitting back those balls. Another mechanic it has that creates similar cool opportunities for damage is when it is raining on this map. Occasionally in this map, the Highlands, rainstorms will just sweep through for a while. When it's raining, Yamakurai will drop seeds onto the ground that will, over time, sprout into giant trees that, similar to Inagami, will attempt to spear you and deal massive damage to you. If you hit these seeds, similar to the thunderbugs, if you hit the seeds before they sprout, they will immediately shoot up as a tree, and if Yamakurai is right above them, it'll act almost like a Dragonator and deal a massive chunk of damage, and potentially knock it to the ground again to allow you to deal more damage. This mechanic works, I think, a lot better solo than the thunderbugs do, but it is still kind of fiddly, and if there's a bit of a delay between hitting the seed and it sprouting into a tree, so frequently Yamakurai can move out of the way and not get tree-inated, but it does feel a little bit more consistent than the thunderbugs, and is a good way to deal damage if it's raining on the map that you're on. In general, the fight is just kind of boring, and it's hard to really get a good feel for. I really like how it weaponizes plant growth. I was talking about with Inagami, how I really like how it does that. Constantly chasing you with these rapidly sprouting trees and attempting to spear you. I think that's something that in lore Yamasukami can do, but it never did it in its actual fight, so it was cool to actually see that ability present in Yamakurai. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about visually for Yamakurai is when it reaches, I don't know if it is half health or a quarter health remaining or something, it will shift into this autumnal fire mode where its foliage becomes this mixture of autumn leaf colors, reds, oranges, yellows, and that's really cool to see. I did not know that was going to be a thing when I first thought it, and that was awesome to get to experience for the first time. I really like this coloration a lot better than the base coloration, and I would like that if it came back in a future game, they had this be the coloration it was for the entire time, instead of it being a shift. Maybe when it's exhausted or when it's low health, it shifts back to the standard greens, but I love the autumnal look of it. And maybe that's just me, autumn being my personal favorite season. Anyway, so talking about its return, I am not sure, because I was talking yesterday when we fought Odibatarasu about how I think he would fit really well in the big, wide open desert area of the windswept heath in Monster Hunter Wilds, and I could easily see if I don't know if there are any big open areas in the Scarlet Forest. I have only seen the bits of the Scarlet Forest that were shown off in the Lalabarina trailer and in the release date trailer back in September. So I don't know if there are any wide open areas for him to be in, but I could easily see him being the big, massive monster of the Scarlet Forest. So it'll probably be Yamasukami, though, if it is anything, instead of Yamakurai. So I'm going to say a 1 or 2 for returning in Wilds. And similarly, Yamasukami and Yamakurai have been absent from the series forever, So they're due a comeback, but I also think they are kind of going the way of Goble and Giganox, where we're not going to see them. They're like very low on Capcom's ladder of when we're going to see them again. So I'll say like a 3 or 4 maybe to show up in a future Monster Hunter game. Well, the benefit or curse, depending on how you look at it, of longer hunts is that you get longer rambles from your friendly local bard. But that is where I'm going to be wrapping up today. So thank you all so much for watching. Please stick around until the end of the hunt if you can. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want to. Don't if you don't. And until next time, I'll see you next time.